One outlet is complaining that the King's speech was missing something crucial. Harry and Meghan.
And the Prince of Wales is ruining a Christmas present he gave to his wife a few years ago.
Welcome to Heirs and Spares, the show that dives into the fascinating world of two of the most recognized royal couples from both sides of the Atlantic. I'm Kinsey Schofield, and I'll be bringing you updates on the Duke and Duchess of Sussex here in California.
And I'm Rupert Bell with all the news on the Prince and Princess of Wales back here in the UK, and it's been a busy festive time.
Speaking of busy and festive times, you sent me the photo that is now your picture for when we text and call is the picture you sent me last week. It is the coolest thing ever. You are handing the Princess Royal a gong, and that's actually a really rare thing because she does not like for people to make a big deal out of her. She's probably one of the most humble people, certainly in the royal family, but on the planet. Explain that to the audience. How did this come to fruition, and how was interacting with her?
Well, it wasn't a gong. In my other life, I am chairman of the British Equestrian Media Association because, as you know, I cover a lot of horse sport in my other life. And that is things like show jumping, horse racing, dressage, 3D eventing. Anyway, as we have an annual awards lunch at the London International Horse Show that takes place just before Christmas in the Excel Arena. And I've always thought that the Princess Royal is worthy of an award. And we have a Lifetime Achievement Award that we give out every year to eminent equestrian people, whether they've been competitors, administrators. And so I'd always thought, well, the one person who probably deserves something is the Princess Royal, because we know she is a brilliant horsewoman. She's a European eventing champion from 1971. She competed at the Montreal Olympics. And further to that, she's been an administrator, president of the FEI, which is the international sports governing body. She's been a very proactive member in the IOC. So I thought it would be worth trying to see if we could engineer this. Now, I knew she was coming to the show. And so I then thought, right, well, if she's coming to the show, let's see if I can get the wheels in motion. Well, you can't just turn up and go, right, she's there and say, here's an award, Your Highness, and expect to do it that way. No, you don't. You have to go through various hoops. And in the end, I had to write a letter explaining why, this was directly to her, why we wanted to honor her achievements in equestrianism. And I was absolutely thrilled when I got the green light that, yes, she would be honored to accept our award. And she did so on the evening of the first night at the London International Horse Show. She was there as patron of the Riding for the Disabled. So it was engineered into the program. So there I am, all booted and suited. And it wasn't a gong. I didn't suddenly get an extra special present for her. We always give the winner a glass plate. And she got exactly the same glass plate that anybody else was going to get it, who's received it. And I'm standing in front of a full house crowd, and they announced it. And one of the things I wanted, not just us giving out we are a small organization, but what I really wanted was the sellout crowd to appreciate what she's done on behalf of equestrian sport. And I have to say, she was very humble and extremely honored. And then we had some stuff on the big screen of some of her highlights. And then she was talking me through some of her exploits in that big screen, and I must admit it was a very humbling moment for me to know that she was so honoured to receive it, and we had a very animated conversation and happy days. And she does not receive awards very often. She gives out plenty, whether it be investiture. She'd been given awards that night to winners of various competitions. But for her to be on the receiving end is a rarity. And for our humble little organization to pull it off is deeply, we're deeply grateful that she honored us with accepting it. And I will forget that. I never will forget that evening again for the rest of my life, that I was able to honor her contribution to equestrian sport. That's a long answer, Kinsey, but that's how it came about.
Yeah, I mean, don't think she's honored probably enough for all the things she does, but it is she's probably more comfortable taking the stage for something like that, because I do feel like she believes that she was meant for a life of service. So I don't think that she thinks that what she does in that arena, she probably wouldn't want to stand and to have any applause over what she does when it comes to her philanthropy and her charity work, because I think that she truly believes she was born for that. But when it comes to her equestrian work, that is really something she's probably, and you know more than I do at this point, probably very passionate about. So she might, she probably is more likely to be like, yeah, I want to discuss this. This is something that I love.
And you see her around horsey people. Now, remember this year, she had that incident where she was found unconscious in her home at Gatcombe. Horses are fickle beasts, and even as talented as a horsewoman as she is, fell victim to the temperament of a horse. We don't know the exact circumstances, but she is very comfortable around horsey people. She loves the environment. Remember, her father was a successful equestrian, polo. I wonder what he thought of that documentary. Would have thought probably not a lot, like a lot of people within the polo world, but he too was a very important member in the administration of equestrian sport. Obviously, the Princess Royal's daughter, Zara Tindall, she's a former world champion at eventing and an Olympic medalist. So what you're getting is she is part of a long line of equestrian lovers. And bearing in mind, her mother as well was passionate about horses. But for us to give that award was very humbling, and I'm delighted she was able to accept. So I'm boring all my friends with it now, and my wife is being driven to distraction by me at every opportunity talking about it. But hopefully I'll stop talking about it soon.
She's going to change her name to the Princess Royal Bell. All right, let's talk about Christmas. We got the beautiful shots of the family, specifically, I think, surprisingly, based on the year that the Princess of Wales had. I was surprised to see how many headlines the Prince of Wales and Prince Louis had coming out of Christmas. The family were greeted by a ton of well-wishers after the Christmas Day service at St. Mary Magdalene Church at Sandringham Estate. Prince William having his work cut out for him, as the family literally fended off, I'd say, hundreds of gifts. I mean, it was Cadbury chocolates, stuffed animals, bouquet after bouquet of flowers. Their gifts were falling out of their arms, pouring out of their arms. It was so sweet to see. And there was a video circulating on Twitter, now X, where Prince Louis is just absolutely delighted at all of the gifts that are being thrown his way. As well as Prince George and Princess Charlotte. I mean, they all have their hands full, but Louis is he's in his element, right? And I guess I'm describing this because I don't know if we have permission to use it. So if you're like, I get it, I apologize, but I don't know if we have permission to actually show the video. But as they're moving along, somebody offers Prince Louis more chocolate, and Prince William actually steps in and is like, no, you can't give them all the chocolates. Definitely not. You keep that for yourself. Merry Christmas. Have a lovely day. And he's so sweet about it. I mean, he's not being ugly about it at all. He's actually very amused by the haul that his kids have. But especially Prince Louis is like, pull it back. You do not need any more candy. What does it say to you that there was such a warm, wonderful reception for them this Christmas? I don't think we expected anything else, but there were whispers towards the end of the year about Prince Andrew. Will he show up? Is he going to embarrass the family? Is this not a united front without Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson there? And I don't think that's what anyone was thinking watching them that day at the church.
Well, I think what they was mighty relieved he wasn't there, because he would have been the story, the moment. So it became the focus of the attention became the family. I'm not sure they'll be giving out Cadbury's because they've lost their royal warrant. So maybe, if you remember recently, Cadbury's, who've had a royal warrant since about 1847 or something, they no longer have got the royal warrant. But I get your drift there. Christmas sweets, and Louis probably didn't need any more because he's a bundle of energy anyway. And if he's got the sugar buzz from all that chocolate, heaven help Christmas lunch that day. But I think it when you think from the Christmas walk 12 months ago to bringing it forward 12 months, my goodness me, there's been a lot going on all fronts. It's not been a straightforward year. So I think that was why there were lots of people. I gather some people traveled from Paris to be there. It is amazing that so many people do turn up. But that walk, you can just see how stage managed it is, because it's almost a semi-state occasion, because you know where you are in the pecking order, right? It's the King and Queen out front. Then it's Prince William, Prince and his wife and children. Then it sort of goes in a very much a pecking order of seniority. And of course they've got had an extended Christmas party this year with over 40 attending, I think, at Sandringham and Amner Hall over the Christmas time. But yes, I have to say, suddenly when you start reading some of the reports, it does seem to try at times trying to turn Prince William and Catherine into comedians of the highest order. But actually, they're just sort of, it's as you casual conversation, but all with a deft touch. It's not designed to be a moment, they're not designed to be the big comedians. They're just engaging with the public, which they do so well. But you would suddenly think, my goodness me, this is the height of Christmas comedy. But no, I'm not pouring darkness on it, because I think it is a very important royal act, as if you see what I mean, during the Christmas period. And yes, them going to church is, significant for the king. He's a man of strong faith. How William has talked about that he may not have the faith that his father has, but something that he's going to have to grow into as well. So it's very interesting, that walkabout. But Prince Louis was able to be his cheeky, chappy self. That was the most important thing, and endearing himself to the well-wishers who turned up.
He's the cutest. I just love him. You're right, though. It does seem like some of the comments that they make, I wonder if some of the media clings on to them and makes them bigger, because they are so normal. Like when Catherine says, I seem to have lost my family. I mean, that's something you say in Costco or Sam's Club, but it is cute because she's a princess and it's Catherine. But, I get what you're saying. Like sometimes I look at those lines and I'm like, well, that sounds like something my mom said. So, it's interesting the way that they're described.
Well, it's what you probably would do at any time. Where's my family gone?
Yeah.
And I got to go over there, and I've lost my family, which is good. That the important thing is it was the Princess of Wales doing what she does well, and off the back of the good feedback from the carol service and the positive signs that we might, and we're hearing reports that we might see more of her next year, that her recovery is going on apace. But it's, obviously that is a set piece occasion, and we probably won't see her again now until the new year at some stage. But hopefully, once you get through the Christmas period and the children are packed off back to school, that they can regroup and we can see more of her. But certainly on that day, she looked very happy to be part of the royal walk to the church. And, it was a lovely, mild Christmas day as opposed to a freezing cold day that you can expect at this time of year in this country.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny that you say it's stage managed, and you're right. I know it is stage managed, but just thinking about Catherine saying, I lost my family. The last time I met them in London, Prince William said to us, I've lost my wife, because she was still all the way back talking to people. So I know that it's stage managed, but they almost aren't in sync when it comes to the greetings. He is much faster. And great. I mean, he's very animated when he stands and talks to you. He's great. I mean, I was surprised at how funny he was. But she does stand there and say, where are you from? Oh, how long are you here? I mean, she gives you so much time, because I think she is sincerely sweet and sincerely cares. And he does too. But he's been in this game long enough to get through the line much faster. So it's funny to me that she says, I lost my family. And then the last time I saw him in person, he was like, I've lost my wife. So I think that she takes more time with people. And I'm not criticizing it. I just think that Prince William definitely has it down in a way where he's making people feel great that are in front of him, but also somehow manages to touch a larger group of a larger audience.
Well, I think in Prince of Wales' case, I think she just probably in such a semi-relaxed occasion like being at Sandringham, it's not as intense because it's Christmas Day. As I say, it's a semi-official occasion. They know that that's their role because people go to meet them. They may not remember who they've met, the royal family, but on the other side, they've got to put themselves in that person's shoes and know for them it might be a very special moment in their life when they do meet a member of the royal family.
Yeah, and to your point, one woman said this year that King Charles said, "I remember you from last," or "I remember you." Like, so I don't remember if it was last year, but King Charles actually said, "I remember you" to one woman, and she said she could not believe how special that made her feel, knowing how many hands he shakes. But he said to her, "I remember you." Well, speaking of making someone feel special or lack thereof. Over the weekend, Page Six revisited one of Catherine's worst Christmas presents. Now, this is an older story being recycled because of the royal holiday, but Prince William once admitted, "I did get my wife a pair of binoculars once. She's never let me forget that." He said this on BBC Radio 5 Live. That was early on in the courtship. "I think that sealed the deal," he joked. "It didn't go well. Honestly, I have no idea why I bought her a pair of binoculars. It seemed like a good idea at the time." Rupert, can you guess what I got for Christmas this year from my significant other?
Well,
A
no, I
pair
hope.
of binoculars. So when I saw this story, I immediately sent it to him.
Okay, but you need them for your whale watching. So in your case, you need them because when you're out on a boat and you're out whale watching, then you need a pair of binoculars. So your significant other understands that you need a good set of binoculars. So that I think is very good of him, right? Because he knows it's your hobby. Well, no, it's not. It's something you're passionate about and are studying. I don't know the full details, but anyway, you're doing some whale stuff.
I passed my test between the last time we talked. I passed my test. I
Oh,
thought I
well,
wasn't going to, but I did. I'm a naturalist now.
that's your present from your significant other to give you a set of binoculars now to continue what you're doing. In Prince William's case, giving a set of binoculars to his wife, unless she was a passionate twitcher, a bird watcher, or out on the Scottish moors, I mean, that's probably what he was thinking in a madness moment, that when they go yomping over the Scottish moors or in the Highlands, look at the stags over there and everything. Maybe that's what he's thinking. But in his 20s, a set of binoculars, no, that's not what you want. Any married couple giving a set of binoculars, no. But in your case, I think I'm sure you were delighted to receive, or have you given it the Prince of Wales reaction and said, "What the hell were you thinking?"
I said, "If you were a prince, I'd be much more forgiving."
Oh, so it didn't go down well.
Well, I just said girls don't like practical gifts on Christmas. Like that is like when you're supposed to get me something stupid, like I don't know, a fifth dog. But no, I was kind about it. He said, "Well, I don't like that because I like practical gifts." And I said, "Well, that's why I bought you an entire new wardrobe. Okay, that's a practical gift." But no, I'm grateful for my binoculars. I am, but I love that I have something in common with Kat.
Well, it's very good of you to share a little domestic angst with your viewers that your Christmas present didn't meet total approval, even though as a bloke, I can see the entirely practical reasons. And he would have thought, what a nice present. Congratulations on passing your exam. And I'll go and get a very expensive pair of binoculars so that you can enjoy your passion even more.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I'm such a horrible person. Okay, so speaking of horrible people, can we talk about the Daily Beast? I want to love the Daily Beast so bad. They're snarky, sometimes they're fun. Every once in a while, they have a good piece of gossip. But in this week's edition, I was so disappointed. They say that King Charles has been criticized for not acknowledging Prince Harry and Meghan Markle or their two children in his Christmas speech. Now, this year, the king focused on how the holidays was a chance for family and friends to come together. The Daily Beast claims the closest Charles came to acknowledging his family in California was when he spoke about the need to protect and safeguard the environment for the sake of our children's children. That's a stretch. The Beast tried to stir the pot even more by saying, by contrast, multiple images were shown of his son, Prince William, and his wife, they say Kate Middleton. It's the Princess of Wales, people. And their three children, Princess Charlotte, Prince George, and Prince Louis. The refusal to acknowledge Harry's family went almost entirely unremarked in largely fawning accounts of the annual televised speech in the British media, but was criticized on social media. First of all, social media is the gutter pit of hell. So I don't care that those people are complaining about the King's speech. Why? Why would the king bring up this family that has disowned them? Harry and Meghan have disowned them. The king knows that if he did mention them, it would probably attract a lot of attention that they have claimed they don't want.
I think if he's going to mention anyone, he's only going to mention working royals. And I think that's the point. And that also accounts probably for the venue, because, quite often you see pictures out the back, and it's all, because again, that's very well orchestrated, and it would always be which pictures are in the background if it's filmed in the palace or wherever, Windsor Castle. What are the photographs? Going to a non-denominational chapel that was linked to a hospital, the Middlesex Hospital, gave it a neutral touch, and it was designed to sort of highlight the help he's had from the medical services and how grateful he is. That was part of the speech. So it wasn't meant to be a sort of eulogy to members of the royal family. It's meant to be a wider brief. And so that is just, to me, unnecessary tittle-tattle. The Sussexes aren't going to get a mention. The Duke and Duchess the Duke of York's not going to get a mention. And other members didn't really get a mention. But he talked about compassion and help. And that is still a message, even within his own family, that is important. But does he need to be naming people? Absolutely not. Was it a good speech? Well, it was watched by over 6 million people in this country, which is quite a decent record. One thing I would have to say is it's always at 3 o'clock in this country on Christmas Day. I mean, when I was young, it was like everything stopped for the Queen's speech. The early Christmas presents were unwrapped after lunch, but had to be done by 3 o'clock. So the senior members of the family could take their seats in front of the television, and away you go. The fact is 6 million people still watched it is still proves it does have a place. Does it have a place still amongst the younger generation? That's, again, is a debate on how they continue to make that speech relevant. But it is important that there is a message from the king. It is part of the tradition that we've been doing since the 20s, when his his great grandfather first did it back in the 20s, radio speech. So it's nearly 100 years old now, I think, the tradition of the king's speech. So it is an important part. But again, it's got to continue to evolve. And that counts for it probably having this neutral venue. But to mention the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, an absolute trying to fill some space there, our friends at the Daily Beast. That's looking for a story that just isn't there.
Right. And one of the things they also mentioned was that their sources say King Charles is open to reconciliation with Harry, but Prince William is what's standing in the way. And the king feels like he cannot allow Prince Harry back in the fold without Prince William's permission, because Prince William is the future of the monarchy. King Charles is his own man. I do imagine Prince William still has issues with his brother, but I also think that King Charles has shown himself to be a leader, an independent thinker. And I don't believe this idea that Prince William is holding the king hostage from his son, who has caused not only a lot of hurt to the Princess of Wales, but to Queen Camilla. I mean, the evil stepmother. He was very cruel about Queen Camilla in his book. Throughout the promotion for his book, he was disparaging towards her. I have a hard time believing that Prince William has that much power.
Um, no, but the only way there will be a rapprochement is if Harry, actually, the Duke of Sussex, apologizes because he's created the issue. And I think the king doesn't want to spend any energy on it at the moment. He should be focusing on getting himself 100% right again and then see what it takes in a couple of years' time. Because, you look at the year the Sussexes have had, it's been an interesting one. Not quite, I think, the year they wanted in terms of their profile and where they've ended up. I mean, this polo documentary, I don't think has moved the Netflix dial at any stage. And speaking to polo friends of mine, and it said basically it was like the people involved, are no more than sort of reality. They're not the best players. They're sort of over dramatizing the quality of the play, and the polo people and the sort of high-end polo players have a disparaging view of that program. So it hasn't gone well from Harry's point of view. The Invictus Games will be significant for him. Can he rebuild his PR there? And what's Meghan doing? And it is good. They've been quiet during this Christmas period. We saw their Christmas card, which looked like a business card. So I don't see any time soon there being a rapprochement. And William is scarred by it because he knows his brother's been an absolute idiot.
Yeah, 100% a terror. I also think that Robert Hardman, I tend to lean towards his explanation for the disconnect between Prince Harry and King Charles, with Prince Harry having so much litigation on the horizon, and the way Paul Burrell's, Paul Burrell was inevitably saved by comments he said he made to the Queen, and the Queen inevitably did back up. But Robert Hardman has explained that Prince Harry could go into a courtroom and say, well, my dad said this, and it could turn everything upside down. And so Robert Hardman has explained that the king is keeping his distance because he doesn't want to negatively affect anything that's going on in the courts, because I think Prince Harry is effectively suing his dad's government. And so he has to be very careful with that. And additionally, I've heard, and I also feel strongly about this, that Queen Camilla is trying to monitor his stress levels. And in doing so, she's saying, do we really want to open that door right now? Because what kind of chaos could it bring? But when it comes to Prince William standing in the way, doesn't that guy have plenty of other things to worry about than trying to block his brother?
I think Robert Hardman has got his finger on the pulse there. I think that, legally it is a minefield for the royal family. They've got to keep well clear of what Harry is doing there, and any opportunity for Harry to tap into something that may have even been a throwaway remark from his father or his brother would just be, it might not help the cause. So silence is the best means of defense at the moment with regard to Harry. If in a year's time and all these legal cases, which Meghan has said, I wish he'd stop being so litigious, because it does, I think, tarnish his image. I mean, if he wins the case, then that will be interesting. But I don't know enough. I'm no lawyer, so we'll see how that pans out in 2025. It'll be one of the storylines that inevitably we might be talking about at some stage during 2025.
I know that this is not an heir or spare. I mean, King Charles is a previous heir, so I guess we could kind of categorize it there. But I did think it was interesting. Jimmy Carter, the 39th president of the United States, passed away over the weekend. He was 100 years old. The news of his death confirmed by his son, Jimmy Carter III. The Carter Center told TMZ that he passed away surrounded by family. He was the longest living former president in his history when he passed away. In 1977, he met King Charles, then Prince Charles, at the G7 summit in London. And we do know that the king has written to President Biden to express his condolences after Carter's death. I didn't realize this. He's a distant relative of the royal family because both families are related to the Washingtons. And in 1977, he also met, aside from King Charles, he also met the Queen Mother at a Buckingham Palace dinner and kissed her on the cheek to say goodbye. This apparently was considered a breach of royal protocol because you're supposed to bow, curtsy, or even potentially, I think it's still frowned upon, but potentially a handshake when it comes to the ladies. And the Queen Mother later wrote about the incident in her biography, saying he was the first man to kiss her since her husband's death. That is crazy to me, A, that they're related, and B, that he got a mention in the Queen Mother's biography.
Well, I think he even said on the lips, didn't he? I don't quite know. I may have misquoted that. So sorry if I've got that wrong. But whatever. Yes, but I mean, basically, he was almost an accidental president, if I'm not mistaken. After Gerald Ford, after and he comes around as sort of a boy from the South, and he gets a 4-year term. It wasn't easy for him, but by all accounts, yes, he came over, and he was just, I'm sure, continuing to establish the special friendship between the royal family. And there is talk now of another state visit for your incoming president in 2026. And bearing in mind that whatever you think of your new president, and it will be yin and yang, but whatever. The fact is, during his campaign, he talked very affectionately about his time with a state visit and was showing photographs of how much he enjoyed his state visit with the late Queen when he was president first time around. So I think, that is, the American presidents do like the special treatment when they come, well, whoever you are. And I'm sure Jimmy Carter, back then it would have been much more formal. Back in the 70s, 1977 was also Silver Jubilee year for the late Queen. I remember that we all got a coin in my village because I was just mid-teens at that stage. Well, I've got a coin. I think I've got it somewhere in this house. It's tatty, but it's not gonna. I can't flog it for a fortune. But I think we did a Silver Jubilee coin. I think we all got handed out in that year. But at that time, President Carter seemed to be handing out kisses to the late Queen Mother.
Oh, wow. I know. That is so funny to me. Well, I do think, like you said, no matter, I've even read reports that the Queen didn't like former president, current president, or future president Donald Trump. But I think I think what matters to me is that he really likes them. And no matter what anybody has said, he hasn't swayed on that. Even when he's been pushed on, she didn't like you or whatever. His entire family has always been very respectful, and I think that they adore the royal family. So I think that that's important. I think it's important to our country's relationship, and I do think that the future president will, go out of his way to ensure that our countries continue to have a good relationship.
It's going to be quite important because our current government have said some pretty strong things against the incoming president. And so the royal family, that soft politicking of the royal family might have to come to the fore and help mend.
Poor Prince William sent into the lion's den yet again. Well, just send William.
But it's fine. That's what the royal family are meant to be doing. Soft politics of the royal family. And this will be a classic example of them being able to do something to smooth the troubled waters between our government and what they've been saying in quite public manner at times about your incoming president. So, it's an interesting one. But the royal family, I'm sure, will have a part to play in that.
Well, agree with us, disagree with us. Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Happy New Year. And thanks so much for spending your New Year's Eve with us. We're forever grateful, and we look forward to seeing you in 2025.
Have a happy New Year, Kinsey, and I'll speak to you sometime towards the end of January because I'm off for a little break.
Well, we hate hearing that. But I am disappointed you didn't go with the ultimate dad joke. See you next year.
Well, no, I couldn't say that. Anyway, on that note, uh, uh,
See
anyway,
you next year. See you next year, Rupert.
I'll
Okay.
see you next year. But I wish you a happy new year and enjoy using your binoculars.
Thank you. I will.